click that like and subscribe button and go sign up on superchargedstocks.com and let's keep you notified. Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew with Supercharged Stocks. Today's a special day. I'm here to introduce Austin O'Donnell, who's actually joining the team here at Supercharged Stocks. He's going to be the director of operations for the company. He's going to bring a lot of new insight and information and ideas, and he's bringing one right to the table today. But before we get to that part, Austin, introduce yourself, say hello to everyone, and we're glad to have you here.
Hey guys, really happy to be on board and joining you, Andrew, as we kind of go on this project together. And obviously, but for everyone who's listening, my background kind of comes through finance and school, and then managing golf courses over the last couple of years of my life. I was the general manager of one golf course, and then moved into being the sales director at another one. Now, really excited to kind of get into a real passion of mine, which is the markets and trading and it's something that you can attest to. I've had a real passion for since I was a little kid. So Really excited to get going on that.
Excellent. And you're bringing us an interesting story today as well. Well, it's from yesterday, or it's kind of been one's bubbling for the last couple of weeks.
I might keep going for a little bit here, but I'm sure a lot of people have already kind of heard a little bit about it. But I really wanted to touch on kind of this Reddit-driven trade of the GameStop stock yesterday and kind of through today as well.
So let me ask you about GameStop, because I don't follow GameStop. I know what GameStop is. I like video games. You can buy video games and anything to do with video games. It's a retail chain. And quite frankly, I thought, this is not exactly a stock I'd be terribly excited about or interested in. Not because I don't like video games. I love them. I just assume everyone downloads them now, or you just buy them and they get shipped to you.
That would be my assumption too. And even when PlayStation rolled out their new console, the PlayStation 5 this year, they even have one that doesn't have an actual disc reader because everyone's buying their games online through the PlayStation store. So even when I saw this, I was going, what the heck is going on here? Like,
they seem to all have it's like a Twitch, there's a platform, you go on the platform, there's a whole list of games, you can just buy them. So exactly. I just was confused as to why this thing exists. So that's the first part, which makes this interesting because, there's GameStop, but because it's video games, we know that there's certainly forums and there's certainly people that are, they are vested in video games. They're emotionally attached.
Totally. And there, some people, I don't know, maybe if there's a little bit of this is something that some people just don't want to see this die. They grew up going to GameStop, standing in lines for video game releases when the new FIFA or Madden might have been coming out. It's a nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
But what really happened is on a subreddit called Wall Street Bets, these kind of what they're being called in the media is these Robin Hood traders started to generate some hype around GameStop. It started simply because they did a cleaning of the house of their board of directors at the start of the year, and it started to gain some traction from there, and it went through the roof.
Yeah. So, and this brings up an interesting topic because the little I know of is that there was this kind of dispute because there's a short seller. I think his last name is funny enough, isn't it Long or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. So it's a family office guy who came out vocally saying this company has had poor sales. The financials don't look that good. So I'm shorting it, which once again, I haven't spent a lot of time looking at it, but I would imagine that's probably true. But he would not have been ready for the backlash of coming out against, say, and maybe this is the whole thing, this nostalgic, hey, you're attacking gamers.
I think there's got to be a little bit of that too. I mean, certainly given the current climate that we're in anyways, you've got more people at home with more free time, especially in our situation. I know personally a lot of people who, they've been laid off work, but they're still getting the Canadian economic relief benefit payments and stuff like that. And maybe an opportunity to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on trying to make a little cash in the stock market. And this is one way to try to do it, I suppose.
Yeah, and especially if it is like this Robinhood, the new kind of trading app, which really appeals to younger people, and also Reddit or subreddits, 4chan, these types of places where people can congregate and share ideas, memes, et cetera, et cetera. These are massively motivating places. I mean, they have far much more influence and firepower than anything like CNBC, any mainstream media. I mean, these things dwarf that at a level that most people, even my age and older, have no concept of.
Well, which is very true, and it's funny because you start to hear a theme coming out of that now, that maybe that is what we call the mainstream media isn't actually the mainstream media anymore. That people are starting to use these other platforms like Reddit, like Twitter. You could rife off about a ton of these for days, but there's a lot of different platforms where you could have the opportunity to learn new information that's not exactly coming from the traditional sources that my dad or your dad got it from.
Yes. And I like that kind of angle you'd mentioned to me earlier, was that it's this kind of the old guard versus the new kids on the block kind of thing, where it's, and I've read some kind of angles of this, is like, instead of it's in the back smoky shady rooms where people are manipulating stock prices, is that now it's just down in the open in sub forums and in chat rooms and in these types of things, and investor hubs that people create, whether on Facebook group or this or Telegram or Discord, is that you can motivate people very quickly, and it doesn't take, you can reach a lot of people very quickly that throw $500 or $1,000 at a stock, and
Absolutely.
you can change that momentum very quickly. One thing I want to touch on too, for people that don't know, short selling is you're borrowing stock in anticipation of and hoping and promoting that the stock is going to drive down. So that's a whole separate conversation. Maybe we'll have another day. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, there is positives to it in theory, and it's good, but I think there's more downside. I prefer myself certainly to motivate, promote, and invest in positive things rather than try to kind of be a vulture capitalist where you're making money on shorting someone else. So that's just my own personal value proposition. But
totally. And I'd agree with you on that as well. It's not the way that I want to go about things. It's not my personal method, my belief system, but it's sure as hell entertaining.
People always get angry or talk about manipulation, especially in the junior markets and especially Canadian commodity ones. In the past, they talk about Bre-X, they talk about other ones, they talk about lifestyle companies, which I talk about, and they think, oh, it's so unfair because there's all this manipulation. And believe me, you can go on junior forums today and for the last 10 years, and this type of shenanigan goes on all day long. This is a classic pump and dump. Now, there are lots of people that don't know that they're doing that. And maybe a lot of them are doing it just to troll and just to have fun. Some of them are just in it for the ride. And I've seen some posts where people are like, I just paid off my student debt. So that's great. That's wonderful. Yeah. And what will be interesting, though, is it's definitely, I would say 100% being considered or looked at or under investigation. I don't think that means anyone's going to get charged necessarily. But it brings up that whole idea of, you don't know who you're chatting to in these chat rooms. So I assume, with any of these are probably other investment bankers. It's other brokerage firms. These are not just kids kind of motivating you. These are active, motivated actors that they know these chat rooms exist. They know, especially on the political side. I mean, I would say a quarter of the people on any of the political ones are probably government operatives working on them, encouraging, inciting, and getting you to do or say things. So it works no different if there's money involved. So, this isn't just a quote unquote Robin Hood story where all these young gamer kids are going to make a ton of money. They're being motivated and activated, maybe by other funds and by the company itself. Who knows? I don't want to make any claims or charges, but it's certainly interesting because this is a large company. I think it's $6 billion market cap today because of all the trading. That is a classic. They're pumping it up. It shouldn't have this kind of value. I'm just convinced. And it's trading at a volatility that's shocking.
Well, I mean, even the New York Stock Exchange had to stop trading on it 9 times already because of increased volatility. I mean, you just don't see something like that. I think I've got it here. The high yesterday was $144.63 a share. Yeah. The low yesterday was $61.13 a share. I mean, when was the last time you saw something do that?
Yes. No, and it garnered attention from everyone very quick. It's been developing over the last couple of weeks, but I think we're going to see more of that now rather than less.
Totally. I would agree with you. Once you see these things start to snowball, I mean, even today, apparently the new one that subreddit's going after is BlackBerry. BlackBerry's up 8.2% today. So that might be something to keep an eye on as well.
Just shows the power of these forums. And I mean, and you can harness them in certain ways. And certainly if we can motivate them and harness them towards positive things, that would be the best. But there is something to be said for the fact that let's take it for at face value, that gamers are kind of like, I love this gamer, don't attack my company kind of thing. And they have that kind of, that's great. I actually admire that, except at some point you have to do the math and look and go, is this company actually worth that? Like, do you want to own it at that?
Yeah.
So that's where common sense has to come into play a little bit. And we've got a bit of a mania going on right now with a lot of stocks, but thank you so much for bringing this one up. Let's keep an eye on BlackBerry too and see what happens with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be really entertaining, and thanks for having me on to chat about these. I hope to be coming at you with a few more cool and interesting stories like these. I'm sure we're going to see some interesting stuff happen over the next few months and couple years ahead, probably. So
excellent. Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much, Austin. Really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Anytime.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Click that like and subscribe button and go sign up on superchargedstocks.com. And let's keep you notified